I'd like to call to order the Village Board regular meeting of March 6th, 2014 at 7 o'clock p.m. Clerk Simsky, can we please have a roll call?
Mayor Gunther.
Present.
The clerk's here. Trustee Addington.
Here.
Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Barry.
Here.
Trustee Nero is absent tonight. Trustee Scott.
Here.
Trustee Seneca. Here. Manager Searle.
Here.
Attorney Zemanak.
Here.
And Assistant Village Manager May.
Here.
Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to go to open forum. I have a request. If there's anybody else who'd like to speak during open forum, please see the police chief, and he would have you fill out. The one I have is Brian Williams from First Student, 250 West 63rd Street. Brian, would you please come up to the podium, and the floor is yours.
Good night, everybody. I'm Brian Williams from First Student over at Westmont, right across the street from Westmont Yard, and we are hiring. We're trying to hire as many drivers as we can over the next few months to fill our void. So if you guys want to know anybody, they can stop by, they can see me, and we'll look forward to hiring them.
Great.
And Brian, you may.
Can we get your contact information if people are interested?
Sure. You can contact me at 630-964-2500.
And what are the positions that you're looking to hire for?
We're looking for drivers and monitors, which would be the monitors would be on the bus with the drivers.
And requirements?
We train people for CDLs, and we'll get that for them. So they don't have to come with any requirements. We'll train them for wherever they need.
Very good, thank you. Is there anybody else here for open forum? If not, then I will close the open forum and move on to reports. And the first report is the mayor's report. And tonight I have the pleasure of introducing our superintendent of 201, Kevin Carey, and the school board president, Marie Charlton. I think tonight they want to give a little information on their proposed referendum, not the proposed, the referendum that's on the ballot in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate a few minutes of your time. And we're actually going to present a abbreviated version of our PowerPoint. And then at the end of the PowerPoint, I do have information about where people can find additional information and the full PowerPoint, as well as some informational meetings. But on March 18th, CUSD 201 will have a question on the ballot. And the question comes from many years of planning. Those of you who are familiar with the school district, over several years we have been involved in facility planning and have created a short-range, mid-range, and long-range plan. Our short-range projects we've completed during the summers of 2012 and 2013, and now we're focused on that next set of projects. And the next set of projects, the common theme that we've had whenever we've put together community committees to focus on our facilities, one of the common themes has been safety and security. And so the bulk of what we want to do for our schools is improve safety and security, and there's some other issues that we'll be addressing as well. So when we look at Miller, Manning, the junior high and the high school, the focus is on, again, security and safety. If you're familiar with our schools, Miller, Manning, and the high school, right now, the way that those buildings are set up, once a visitor's buzzed into the building, they pretty much have free reign of the school. They're not directed right into our main office like we have at the junior high. And so the junior high is really what we want all of our, how we want all of our entrances for our schools to operate. The junior high, you're buzzed into the vestibule. You have to go into the main office. You cannot enter the remaining portion of the building until you're allowed to enter. The other issues that we have to deal with Miller and Manning is handicap accessibility. We have multi-story buildings without an elevator. We've been able to accommodate some of our needs through using lifts, but we've realized some limitations, and because of that, we've had to make some adjustments for either parents or for students because our lift system wasn't able to accommodate our needs. And then we're also going to be addressing some learning environment issues with our junior high and our high school. These are some initial conceptual drawings for what we want to do. This is, the first building is Miller. That little blue area that you see at the top of the slide, that would be an addition that would be on the Trowbridge side of the building, and that would create a new entrance, student and visitor entrance for our building. You would get buzzed into the entrance. You could only enter the main office area, and again, you'd be restricted from entering the rest of the building unless you're allowed to. And then also incorporate into this will also be an elevator that will be able to reach all levels of Miller. For Manning, what we're proposing is on the Linden side of the building, we would add an addition. Again, that's the lower blue rectangle that you see. And again, we would create a new student and visitor entrance. Again, you would get buzzed into the office area. You would not have access to the rest of the building. And then we're also considering creating a drop-off lane in front of the building. Currently, we don't have that at Manning. And then we've also had some early discussions about possible visitor parking across from Manning as well. And when we look at our junior high, the junior high was built as an open classroom concept, and over time we've been able to enclose some of those spaces. We want to enclose all the spaces now for two reasons. One is the educational environment. There are fewer distractions when it's an enclosed space. And secondly, those spaces cannot be locked down. So if we go into a lockdown drill in our schools, there are some rooms, some spaces we actually cannot lock down, and so we want to correct that. For the high school, when you look kind of in the middle top of the slide, there's that pink area. That again would be a new student and visitor entrance that would be directed to the main office. Currently, there's not a true main office suite. We'd create that and again restrict accessibility to our building. And then all the classrooms, one of our short-range projects was adding windows to the exterior of the building. And that was in preparation of this next phase where we want to start enclosing all of our classrooms. Again, it'll improve the educational environment. Also will improve our security because we have the same problem at the high school that exists at the junior high. There are some classrooms that cannot be locked down because there is no door to lock down the classroom. The estimated costs for the projects for Miller is approximately $4.1 million. For Manning, approximately $8.4. The junior high, $5.3. The high school, $6.6. And then the total for the district is approximately $24.4 million. What we're looking to do, and this gets now to the question that will be on the ballot, currently our debt service extension base, which essentially is how school districts can pay non-referendum debt and interest. Right now, it's limited to $1.25 million. That's by statute. And so in order to accommodate these projects, what we'd like to do is to increase that debt ceiling, that debt security extension base to $3 million. And what that will do is it'll allow us the flexibility then to issue the additional bonds that we need in order to accomplish the projects. So it will not only help us to do the projects that we have on docket next, but as I mentioned, these are mid-range, and so we do have long-range projects as well for our schools. And by increasing our debt service extension base, we actually are building into the future so that the next time we're ready for our set of projects, we'll have the capacity to do those and we won't have to go back to the voters again. Because we all know that sometimes when you keep going back to your voters, it can get pretty tiresome. And one little bit of trivia, the last time the school district has actually had a question on a ballot is going back all the way to 1985 was the last time we have asked the public a question. So it's been a number of years, and we'd like to ask this one question and not have to continue to come back. The big question is always, what does this mean for taxpayers? And on this entire spreadsheet, probably the one column that means the most to people is the far right. And that shows what the impact on a $250,000 home would be. It'd be approximately $225 a year. And so that's what we are projecting, the impact of increasing it to $3 million. So, you know, in terms of dollars for the average homeowner, 1.2 million and 3 million are definitely large numbers. But when it comes to school facilities and maintaining those and improving those, it's really not that large of a number. And so, and then the impact to the homeowner is about $225. There is built-in accountability, even if we do have that ability to increase it to 3 million. There are checks and balances in place. Anytime that we want to issue the bonds, we would have to pass a public resolution. We'd have to hold a public hearing, and then we'd have to allow for 30 days. And that 30-day grace period allows the registered voters, if they want to, there's a process that they can get involved in, and they can ultimately ask the school district to place that bond issuance on a ballot. So even though we have the ability with the debt service extension base, there's still some checks and balances in place. And so what that helps to guarantee is right now we're talking about these building projects. If all of a sudden a community member were to hear about a different use or a different reason why we're issuing bonds, they could then come to a board meeting, participate in that hearing, and then also participate in that process to ultimately push that to a vote. This is the ballot question, and again, school districts, we don't draft the question, unfortunately. We would probably make it a lot easier, and then we would probably also include information of what we'd like to do as a result of this. But it's by statute what the question has to read, and so this is the question as it will appear on the ballot. And then in terms of additional information, again, our website, there's a complete PowerPoint. Again, this is an abbreviated version. We also have a frequently asked questions document. And then in addition, next week, there are a couple informational meetings coming up. On March 10th, Monday, at the high school at 7 o'clock p.m. in the Commons, there will be an informational meeting. And then on March 12th at Miller Elementary at 7 o'clock p.m. in the gym. So hopefully any community members who need additional information or have questions that they'd like to ask of us in person, they can attend one of those meetings. Thank you.
Well, any questions? If not, anybody in the audience would like to ask a question? If not,
I would like to add just one thing. I'd like to first
Reed,
of
come
all,
over to the microphone. You gotta get over.
I would first of all like to say thank you for having us here to hear this. This is very important, and I'm sure all of you know from your recent past, as board members, we really can't advocate for this. However, I will advocate for people to find out what we're doing, find out why, look at the PowerPoint, come and listen to the meetings so people can hear just exactly what we're doing, because it's ultimately, we're doing it for that reason. So thank you for having us here,
And that's why we
For your
invited
time.
you to come to do it tonight,
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys, very much.
Thank you. One more item under the mayor's report. I'd like the board to consider, and maybe we can think about it, changing our summer meetings for the months of June, July, and August to maybe 5:30, so that maybe then we can participate in the Street Fest. So it'd be a summer month schedule. So I'd like just to think about it, and we'll have it on
Thought
the
about it,
agenda
yes.
next meeting. I know the staff probably will not like it, but it might be something. But I just, for consideration, because there's a lot going on Thursday night, and I think we could all participate in.
Or make it 9 o'clock at night after that's over.
We're safer with the 5:30.
Are we okay?
So it's just a point to think about. We'll put it on the agenda for, hopefully for any board action, the next meeting.
20th.
On the 20th, yes.
Great.
We could
Again,
vote for it now, I think.
That's all I have. Clerk Simsky.
I have some announcements. I want to give some election information. The early voting has started. The 3 nearest voting precincts to, or areas to us is Downers Grove Village Hall, which is at 801 Burlington Avenue in Downers Grove. It's Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., 9 o'clock a.m. to 3 on Saturday. St. John Lutheran Church in Darien, that's 7214 South Cass. That's Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., and again, Saturday, 9 to 3. And the Yorktown Shopping Center. That's Friday from 8:30 to 7:30, 9 o'clock to 3 p.m. on both Saturday and Sunday. So anybody that wants to do early voting, they can do that. It has started, and it will go through March 15th.
I saw that they're allowing you to do it online now, too. I saw a flyer that came that you can also vote online.
I knew you could do
I
it through
just-
the mail, but I
Well,
didn't.
There was a flyer that came through the mail that said if you provide identification, they'll allow you to do it online.
For Ukraine?
No, it was delivered for public information, so.
Keep making it easier.
And then I want to be sure and remind everybody to spring forward this weekend on Saturday night before you go to bed, because daylight savings time starts at 2 o'clock on Sunday AM. So spring forward. We all will look forward to springing forward and hopefully nice weather. And then a special congratulations to Stevie Golombiaski. His name is very hard to say. We all call him Stevie G. At our Westmont Park District, who got the Young Professional of the Year for the Illinois Association of Park Districts, and that's a huge honor. So congratulations, Stevie. We're all so proud of you. So,
Okay. Thank you. Attorney Zimmerman.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Manager Searle.
Thank you. I'd like to request an executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation, specifically the Village of Westmont and IMRF, personnel, potential land acquisition, and for discussion regarding village attorney compensation. And the only other thing I had was this morning, the Westmont Police Department was nice enough to host a meeting of our Council of Government organization. Two-page Mayors and Managers Conference was looking for a site for their board meeting because they had, due to, like many people, due to the bad weather here recently, some flooding problems at their local facility. And while I was there, I came across this little creature here, which I just barely know how to describe. So I was going to ask the chief maybe to come to the podium and talk a little bit about, exactly what this is. Do you need him as a
Prop?
You need the prop?
no?
Visual aid. It's getting better.
Cuddle it cute.
He's a bear. The Westmont Citizens, Westmont Police Department Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association is doing fundraisers, and they're selling the bear, I believe, for $1 a piece. And also, they have $2 a piece, I'm sorry. I didn't buy one yet.
I only paid you $1, but then I paid you $1 later.
I didn't buy one yet, so. And also, they are selling, and we have more, little ducks. They're little rubber ducks that they sell at the Taste of Westmont. They come in, so we're not discriminating. They come as firemen, they come as policemen, they come as, there's some for St. Patrick's Day. They have Easter bunny ducks for upcoming Easter. So if anyone is interested in buying a lovable bear, like our friend here, and some of the ducks, please give me an email or give me a call. My email is tmulhern@westmont.il.gov or chief of police, all one word, @westmont.il.gov, and I can put you in touch with an alumni member, or we can get you the ducks and or a lovable bear. $2, and I believe the ducks are $1 a piece. And the manager has a policeman and a fireman duck in his office. So
Thank you.
that's it, thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Trustees, Trustee Barry.
I do have something this evening. In January, we mentioned that we're going to have some ongoing games, some old-fashioned games that civic organizations, police department, fire department would participate in. They would be year-round. We've yet to really get a hard plan in, but the first concept that we have is more of a modern game than it is really an old-fashioned game, and this is going to tie into our Street Luge Challenge. The goal of this program, tentatively titled Community Fun Challenge Events, is to create opportunities for local organizations and groups to interact, socialize, and grow relationships through friendly competitions. The first challenge will be at the Street Luge, We will invite various community organizations, including public agencies, taxing bodies, service clubs, and similar organizations, to participate and compete in a friendly street luge contest. Each group will designate 1 or 2 people to participate. Early on, we are thinking a male and female, so the police department doesn't bring a bunch of ringers. So we are hoping to have both sexes to participate. The U.S. Olympic Luge team will help run the event. Uncle Bub's Mark Link has offered to co-sponsor the event and offer gift certificate awards for the event winners, as well as possibly create a street luge special for events, participants, and guests. So as you would finish the street luge, you will basically finish at Uncle Bub's and the Holy Trinity area, and Mark is being gracious to help promote and be a huge part of the event. The downtown community, business community has been made aware of this event through the chamber, and they have been encouraged to be creative and offer sales and promotions to coincide with the fact that the U.S. Olympic Luge representatives are in Westmont, again tying into this year's Winter Olympics. There's also an opportunity for Westmont First to get involved and assist with the coordination of the event, and also get exposure for the group. We are really looking forward to this event. Larry McIntyre will be the lead as far as information, and we are going to be getting, I think preliminary, we looked at almost 30 different groups that we're going to try to get participants from. We'd probably take 10 or 15% of that away, but really looking at being a great community event, and if you don't participate, we'd love to have you come out and be a part of it.
And what's the dates?
The dates are May 17th and 18th. The competition we're hoping will be at noon on the 17th, but because of weather, it also could run into the 18th. But the community event, we'd like everyone to participate both days, but the actual race for the community, we're hoping to do Saturday at noon till about 2 o'clock is when that will be. So just all part of once the snow melts, the summer fun. So again, thank you.
Good. Thanks. Trustee Addington.
Couple things. First one is to reiterate on, follow up what Clerk Zemsky said about voting. Please, please, please vote. This is a primary, but we also have the issue for those of us who live north of 55th Street of School District 201. If you don't want to declare yourself as a Democrat or Republican, you can still go to the polls either early voting or on election day and vote on the school board issue, which is important. So please, please, please get out and vote, and vote your conscience on the school board issue. I think that safety of our children is important, but there's a cost factor to it. The other thing is Memorial Day weekend is just around the corner. The snow will go away, hopefully. And we do have the Red, White, and Barbecue. It will be another great event this year. We already have close to 50 teams in. Last year we had 70. By the time everybody had signed up, we're probably going to go a little bit over that. For the general public, one of the things that's new this year is that we're going to have 5 or 6 cooking demonstrations for you guys for anybody who wants to, on a lot of different subjects that have to do with cooking outdoors and doing it better. So there'll be more information in the newspapers and magazines, and we'll keep informing you as we get closer. But we're looking for another great event and more things for the general public to do when they come out to see what's going on. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Trustee Scott.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Trustee Barker.
Nothing this evening.
Trustee Seneca.
Just a quick note that since we are now in Lent, the Knights of Columbus will begin their weekly fish fry on Friday nights, starting this Friday. It's a great family event. They have a new menu. It's very affordable, so I urge everybody to stop by the Casey's on a Friday night and have a nice family dinner. And then just kind of an interesting note, on Saturday, sunset will be at 5:50 p.m., but on Sunday, it'll be at 6:51. So you can plow the snow in daylight. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Hopefully there won't be any to plow.
Well, every weekend we seem
I
to
know,
have
yeah,
snow, so.
Committee reports. First of every month we have this, Administration and Finance.
We just met earlier, talking about several things. Some of it is things that you're going to see on the the agenda later as we keep going forward with the things that are coming forward from our new Stormwater Committee. And we keep going forward with those questions on the ways to do things to eliminate some of the stormwater problems and the flooding that this community has had. So I think it was a very productive meeting, and again, you'll see as time goes on now in the next few months, you'll see some of the results of some of these studies that we're doing, and you'll see where we're going. So I'm looking very positively towards correcting some of the problems we got. And Steve's not here, so I'm stealing Trustee Nero's thunder, but he's the leader in this thing, and he's done a phenomenal job.
Building and zoning.
Currently, we're working on the April agenda, and Steve and Jill and I are working with Trustee Barker to have some of the building and zoning issues that are code enforcement related. We'll be working together with their committee and getting ready for our April meeting, right, Steve? Is that when we're in April? Okay. That's what I
Very
have.
good. Public safety.
Nothing to report.
Very good. Public works.
Well,
Let you,
we
Assistant
are
Manager,
riding on with the comments from Trustee Addington. We are anticipating scheduling a special Public Works Committee meeting on March 20th, 2 weeks from tonight, in order to review some of those issues. And I was just looking up the regularly scheduled meeting. I don't think is until May 15th will be the regularly scheduled Public Works Committee meeting.
Good. Public information.
I just want to make some announcements of upcoming events. The Park District will have their Spring Palette Art Show and their Spring Craft Show on March 16th. And the art show will be from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., and the craft show will be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Westmont High School Spring Musical is Hairspray, and that will be March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So we'll try to keep you aware of all the events coming up, but those are the two.
And the art is in the Gregg House, and the craft is at the Senior Center.
Okay. The mayor's very knowledgeable
Now
on
it's
it.
all right. Code enforcement.
The only thing to report is we have an upcoming meeting on Thursday, March 20th, for code enforcement. That is at 5:30 p.m.
Very good. Trustee Nero's not here, but Stormwater Management Committee, either,
Well, they're still meeting regularly, and the next scheduled meeting is for Monday, March 24th.
very good. Westmont First.
A lot of meetings going on.
I know.
Westmont First meets on March 19th at 7 p.m. here in Village Hall. And I'm encouraging all the other organizations that haven't participated in those meetings yet to please join us. We're beginning to fill that room. Our goal is to outgrow it, and things are coming together very nicely there.
Environmental Improvement Commission. Larry, would you like to come up and update the board?
Absolutely. We had our first meeting, and the new commission has a total of 9 members appointed to that, and these are folks who are very passionate. The meeting was excellent, lasted a full 2 hours, and there was not a moment in which we weren't engaged in passionate discussion. So you'll be seeing minutes on that very soon on all of the items that were discussed that evening and all the things that they plan to address. It's going to be a very active group. We're looking at later this month in March of maybe having a special Environment Improvement Commission meeting in which we bring in Clark Mosquito to talk about some new environmental methodologies that they're going to be introducing. And then also we'll have a second guest speaker on that evening talking about I'm forgetting, is it bio-waste? Is that, it's composting?
Organic waste.
Organic waste, thank you. And we're working on some guest speakers, so I'm going to guess here in about a week, we will lock in that date and be announcing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 6, items removed from the consent agenda. Are any of the board members requesting that any of the items be removed?
I would like to suggest that purchase order 11033068, the $470,000 for the ambulances be pulled off so they can have some discussion.
I'm sorry, you would like?
We like it pulled off so there can be separate discussion.
I got it,
Yeah.
yeah. I lost it, faded. Need a motion for that?
You know, our rules state that I think upon the request of any one trustee, it can be pulled. So I don't think we need a motion and a
So
vote.
then we don't need one, so it
We'll
will be
make that
pulled
as a
and
separate
discussed
item.
separately. Any other items?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve the rest of it.
Second.
Very good. Motion's been made and seconded. Manager Searle, would you please read the consent agenda?
Yes. Under the consent agenda, we have village board minutes for February 20th, 2014. We have finance ordinance number 22 in the amount of $927,306.71. And then we have the following purchase orders that remain on the consent agenda: PO 11033003 to SHI International Corporation, the amount of $5,075. Has to do with software and antivirus renewal licenses. Then we have PO 11032883 to Sternberg Decorative Light Poles in the amount of $6,348. These are poles that we typically order. I don't know if it happens annually, but we try to keep at least 2 poles in stock for future use in case something gets knocked down in the downtown area, so that's what that is for. Then we have purchase order 11033002, again to the vendor SHI International Corporation in the amount of $10,470. And this is another software license for a product called Citrix, Citrix. And then we have PO 11032993 to M.E. Simpson Company in the amount of $31,050. And this is for our valve exercising program that will, this will pay for approximately half of the valves in the village to have those exercised to make sure that they are in proper working order. Then we have PO 11033009 to M.E. Simpson Company in the amount of $45,883, and that is for fire flow testing. And as Trustee Addington just requested, we remove purchase order 11033068 to Foster Coach Sales in the amount of $470,382, and this is for 2 2015 Ford F-450 ambulances. And that is, well, the other thing we have on the consent agenda is the committee meeting schedule for the Westmont Environmental Improvement Commission. The board is considering a motion to approve the schedule for the commission. That the list of dates was attached in your packet, has been sent to the newspapers for publication per the Open Meeting Act. And that is all the items we have on the consent
We've had a
agenda.
motion to approve with the one purchase order removed and seconded. Any questions? Anybody in the audience? If not, then I'll ask for a roll call.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
All right, going to the one item that was removed. It's on the floor now for discussion. I know Chief's got one of his firemen here. I think Daryl to discuss it.
What can we answer for you?
No. I just wanted you to have a chance to talk just like the other chief.
Thank you.
Now, I think that the most important thing that I saw was in the background explanation was that the amounts are over budget. And I think, that, again, an explanation is due so that we all understand where we're going with this.
Okay.
Maybe explain, too, about some of the newer equipment. I know you've talked to all of us about it. But
Correct. Thank you. We created a committee
last August, and we, of paramedics and our EMS director, Lynn Drowley, and our fleet maintenance supervisor and his employees were involved in this committee. And we traveled to conferences where vendors were displaying. We looked at 5 to 6 different vendors. The committee narrowed it down to 2 vendors. I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of work. We have met with those vendors several times. We have negotiated the trade-ins of the 2007, 2008 ambulances with both of them. And one of the big things that the committee wanted to do with these new ambulances is include a lot of safety features. And Daryl's going to get into a little bit of those. Those were included. He kind of did a survey of surrounding departments and kind of summarized some of the safety things. But some of the highlights that with the new ambulances is we had to have a refrigerator in them because of certain drugs that we're going to be carrying. And we put in a lift system for the big oxygen tanks. Now the way we do it is the personnel have to undo them and personally lift them out. And we've had some back injuries and stuff before from those. And you know, we looked at several other safety issues. So I'll let Daryl talk about those, and then I can give you a little wrap-up why we're recommending what we're recommending.
Thank you. The biggest cost that we have would be for the power load system that the chief was speaking about. And as we know, we have just had a firefighter go off on injury who's not able to come back right now because of an injury sustained while trying to lift the cot. The cot is a little expensive. They're running the price they have quoted at $16,694. To have that hydraulic-driven cot lift the patient up and not have to lift it yourself as a paramedic saves your back every time. It's also safer for the patient, so we don't drop the patient or slip on the ice at this time with the cold weather that we're having. The other issue, the Horton ambulance that we have offers an airbag system in the back for the paramedic. The other ambulance that we spec do not. Horton is the only ambulance that actually offers that, and that is their standard. That is their, thank you. That is their standard, and that's a system that we believe is important. A couple of the other things that the Horton ambulance offers is crash testing on all of their ambulances. They have to meet a certain standard for NFPA, and they do meet that and exceed it. They have a roll stability control system that also activates the airbag in the event of a rollover. The system is called the HOP system. That's the Horton Occupant Protection System. It also provides a 3-point seatbelt in all the areas in the back of the patient compartment. The other manufacturer does not offer that. The chief was talking about the oxygen lift. The oxygen bottles that we use, approximately 200 pounds. So every time we have to replace one of those, you have me lifting that in and out of the ambulance. And to save my back, 200 pounds to have that lift in there, something that's definitely important to us. The other concern that we have is the Lifeline ambulance, which is what we currently use, is made out of wood. All the cabinets in the ambulance are wood-based. The Horton ambulance uses metal construction. So going forward, after purchasing the Horton, it would be easier to do what's called a remount, and it would have a significant cost savings down the road. 6 years? Yeah. Approximately 6 years is when we go to look at replacing the current ambulances where we're at currently. To have a remount system, it'd be saving us around $75,000 per ambulance. The other advantage for the Horton ambulance is that the ceiling is 2 inches taller, so we don't hit our heads and we have more room to work. And it is also a few inches longer to provide us a little access with our benches and moving in and out of the compartment.
Just to wrap up on that, the electronic cots and power systems, we're the last department in the area to purchase those. Everybody else has had them for 4 to 5 years. No departments had 0 problems with them. So we waited to work the bugs out because they're very expensive. They're about $35,000 to $38,000 per ambulance to put those in. So those a little bit on that. The other thing is that we did our due diligence and we surveyed all the departments around us to find out what they're using. We visited them. Included in your packet was emails from almost every department around us. and they all gone with the Foster Culture Hortons. So based on those reasons and the committee and their hard work, including Fleet, Fleet was very helpful in giving us a lot of information, getting a lot of things on the chassis. And we're looking forward to, this getting passed and getting 2 new ambulances. Darrell is right that with the Horton, we will be able to re-chassis those and probably do 2 re-chassis on those boxes, which I think would be savings in 6 to 7 years.
So just to be clear, the chassis are Ford. Horton is the company that builds the ambulance on the chassis, and our mechanics, and we have mechanics who have training now that are able to work on these Ford chassis more so than in the past.
That's correct, and the other thing is a lot of the chassis in the fleet currently in Westmont is Fords. They stock parts for those, and we looked at the Dodge Rams and the Fords. We had all types of issues with the Internationals that we currently have, and based on Fleet's recommendation, we took the recommendations to go with the Fords.
So we save time on repair because we can do those things
Yes.
here. We don't have to send them somewhere else as we have in the past.
Yes.
How many miles you got on the current ambulances?
1834 has 67,000 miles, and 1824 has approximately 63,000.
What's the life expectancy, Chief, on these new ones? How many
The new
years?
ones, I believe we can get 7 years out of them, and at that 7-year point, re-chassis them and just buy new chassis. Take the boxes off and put them on and save about $75,000.
Okay.
In the letter, it says that there's attachments, and in my emails, I didn't have that comparison of the Horton and the other. I don't know if you guys could put that up on the overhead today as far as it says that the higher bidder of the 2, but do you have the comparison?
Flip that up.
Sure.
Okay, this is from EMS Director Drawley. Foster Coaches is Horton. As you see, the price per ambulance and the power cot, the power load lift, and then the installation. Their trade-ins that they're giving us, the values, and then a discount for prepaying for the ambulances are giving us $5,000 per ambulance. And then you see the total for those 2 ambulances. This is Lifelines. And you can see the same cost for the ambulance. They're comparable in price. One's a little lower on the cot, one's a little higher on the load system. Again, they're about $11,000 cheaper than Foster Coach for total between those. They're giving us a little bit more allowance on the trade-ins, but they're only giving us a $2,000 discount for multiple ambulances. And you can see the total for the 2 is $434, but again, you're getting wood shelving in the back. You're not getting the rollover safety airbag system, which also protects the patient. And there's a lot of safety features that doesn't come with that. And we just felt that was better for our medics and our residents and patients.
One thing I've always questioned as a businessman, and when I look at the fire trucks and paramedics, I see this gold leaf lettering. I see, American flags in the grills. I see what to me a lot of times looks really excessive, that, things I would love to have as a businessman, but that I just wouldn't purchase because there's not the, reward for that. I've often heard from the departments that that's all part of the package, that it doesn't cost us anymore. I've never really taken that as a good answer, because I think those things do cost more. How are these priced, and how does that factor into all this as far as the cost in there? Do we letter them after that? Is this all of it as far as?
Right, it's all included in the lettering, including new chevron safety reflected on the back, like we got on the back of the fire rigs. But you will not see any gold lettering on these ambulances. It's not included in the ambulances. You will not see the American flags on the grill.
Great. Not that we don't like the American flag. Again, those
No,
things just
nothing
used
against
to
that. It's
seem
just-
like they were over and above what we need to provide safety.
But we just felt that the money needed to go to other important things.
We agree. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody from the audience have a question on the ambulance? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase order for Foster Coach sales for $470,382.
So move Seneca?
Second.
Parker?
Second, Barker.
Motion been made and seconded. Any additional questions? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Moving on to unfinished business. A,
Thank you, Chief.
Fire Department HVAC contract. Board to consider an ordinance accepting the bid and awarding the construction contract to Core Mechanical of Chicago, Illinois. Manager Searle.
On October 30th, 2013, the village accepted bid proposals for fire headquarters PH2 roof and HVAC repair project. The low bid was $168,795 and was approximately 15% above the engineer's estimate of $143,000. At that time, the bid was rejected by the village board. That occurred on December 12th. The village board authorized Baxter Woodman to review the bids, separating the HVAC system from the north roof improvements. The bid proposals were accepted from 4 contractors on February 19th, 2014. The low bidder was Core Mechanical of Chicago with a low bid of $76,795, which is approximately 10% below the engineer's estimate of $85,000.
We have a motion.
So move Seneca?
Second, Addington.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Trustee, questions or comments?
I just want to say I'm happy that it's lower by separating the bids. Very happy to see that.
Steve, you got anything to add?
No. Thank you.
Very good.
I mean, it was well described. You have the recommendation. There was a good result, and like with the next item with the roof, the current bids came in under the projected engineer's estimate.
Very good. And under the original bid of the 2 combined?
Yes.
So, okay. So seeing no other questions, can I have a roll call, please?
But does that factor in?
I'm sorry, there is
I'm
another
sorry.
question.
Does that factor in the extra engineering cost? Because it cost us more through the engineer, correct?
It did, and I don't remember how much that was, though.
Okay. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Unfinished business B, Fire Department roof contract. Board to consider an ordinance accepting the bid and awarding the construction contract to Metal Master Roof Master of McHenry, Illinois. Manager Searle.
Okay, the second piece here was the bid proposals were accepted again on October 30th, 2013 for the fire headquarters PH2 roof HVAC repair project. Low bid was $168,000, which was 15% above the engineer's estimate. Again, it was rejected on December 12th. The village board authorized Baxter Woodman to review the bids separating the HVAC from the north roof repairs. The bid proposals were accepted from 10 contractors on February 19th for the fire headquarters north roof improvement project. The low bidder was Metal Master Roof Master of McHenry, Illinois, with a low bid of $90,789, which was approximately 7% below the engineer's estimate of $85,000.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Scott.
Second, Addington.
Trustee, questions or comments? How many did we have bid on the original when it was combined? Do you remember how many?
2.
I do not.
We just had Steve, it wasn't this many. I mean, we had 10 and 4.
No, right. That was one of the advantages of doing this. There was, nearly a dozen roofing contractors that bid on this once it was separated.
Good.
Like 7, 8?
Yeah.
So it was a much smaller.
So all that effort, we saved $200? But it's a savings.
Well, I don't know if the electrical engineering was 25,000 or not, because that's what we saved from the last bid, so. Any other questions from the audience? Spencer, anything you add to that? No, with the dollar amount? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
New business, A, 218 North Cass Avenue, Fabian's Paw Station Special Use and Variance. Board to consider an ordinance approving the following requests from Mahad Mike Kabaz and Sandra Fabian to allow for the operation of an animal grooming business on the ground floor in a B1 Limited Business District. 1, special use permit. 2, zoning code variance to allow the business to be located within 100 feet of a residence district. And 3, the development permit. Manager Searle.
Excuse me, as stated, the applicant requests to operate an animal grooming business on the ground floor Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. A variance is requested to allow this to be located within 90 feet of a resident district. 100 feet distance is required. An alley separates the business from the residence to the west. Most of the business locations on Cass Avenue in the downtown are within 100 feet of the residential districts behind them. No one spoke from the public at the public hearing with Planning and Zoning. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval. The business will sell some retail items, will occupy an existing vacant tenant space and customers, and may also patronize other local businesses in the downtown. And I believe we have the petitioner here this evening if there's any questions.
Hi, I'm Sandra Fabian. How are you?
Good.
Any questions?
I'm curious as to how many clients you have that will be coming into town.
Well, I'm moving from Downers Grove right on Fairview, and I probably have about 800 clients, maybe 300 average, regular clients. I've been in business for 8 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice to hear you'll be bringing all those people to Westmont.
They can't wait.
We appreciate
I'm a
that.
customer of Sandy's, and she does
Cody.
excellent service, and as we've
Thank you.
talked, I am just ecstatic that she is considering Westmont, and
Thank you. That's great.
I would love to have you here, so.
And I believe the tenant demising wall is brick, so that lessens any noise concerns from this operation from dogs barking on bothering adjacent tenants. And I think the dogs would, there's a kind of adjacent parking area or something if dogs need to relieve themselves. And I know at Planning and Zoning, you said your customers are good about picking up.
Right, and we provide bags also, because we want to keep our area clean too. So we'll throw it out for them if they need to, or provide waste baskets.
I think it'll be a nice addition.
Well, it sounds, do I have a motion?
Motion approved, Scott.
Second, Addington.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any additional questions?
Thanks for coming to Westmont.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
I live in Westmont also.
Even
So
better.
I want to stay in Westmont.
It's even better.
Double win.
Well, seeing no additional questions, roll call, please.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Welcome to Westmont.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And Sandy, one other thing before you leave. Of course, we always encourage everyone to join the Westmont Chamber of
Thank
Commerce.
you.
I know I've
Right.
given you
Thank you.
Larry's
I'm
number
gonna get
already,
there.
so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. New business B, preliminary plat of subdivision request, 5703 Fairview.
This next item, we're requesting to remove from the agenda to postpone to the March 20th agenda. Staff met with Mr. Swanson and his attorney earlier this week. This is a plat of subdivision request for 5703 Fairview. The issue that brought him in to see us has to do with water connection. It's a 3-lot subdivision, and he's in conversations with the possibility of extending a water main underneath Fairview Avenue for the 3 lots with Downers Grove to gain water there. It may be at out-of-town rates. We're not sure yet. That's still being investigated. Part of our discussion, and they agreed to this, was that we have a longer-term plan of wanting to loop the system on our side of Fairview up north and around. We have a detention basin there, and then we would loop it back into Deer Creek to help improve the water quality. And we indicated to him that, can't speak for the board members themselves, whether or not you'd be willing to grant the ability of gaining water from Downers Grove, but we thought as a selling point, if they would sign an agreement that at the point that we did that project, those homes would then connect to the Westmont water and be disconnected from Downers Grove. So those details are in the process of being looked at, and we're going to bring that back then on the March 20th meeting for discussion.
So we'll need a motion to postpone to March 20th.
Motion to postpone, Scott.
Second, Addington.
Motion made and second to postpone this agenda item till March 20th. Any questions? Not roll call, please.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 months.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
New business C, 2014 official zoning map. Board to consider an ordinance approving the revised zoning map of the village dated December 31st, 2013 as the official 2014 zoning map. Manager Searle.
This is required by statute that we publish this no later than March 31st of each year. And this becomes our official zoning map for the year. It is to publish any existing zoning uses, divisions, restrictions, regulations, classifications, or changes in the municipality for the preceding calendar year. So even though it's published at the end of March, it's for the last calendar year. And we typically do this each year at this time, and we're asking the board for consideration to do that to comply with state statute.
So we need a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve, Barker.
Second, Addington.
Motion been moved and seconded on the question. Anybody in the audience? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
New business D, Class A tobacco license. Board to consider an ordinance to increase the number of available Class A tobacco license by one while considering to approve or deny a tobacco license for Dottie's, which are located at 6188 South Cass Avenue. Manager Searle.
As you may recall, Dottie's is one of the new businesses coming in town to offer video gambling. They recently contacted us and asked for this consideration. There are currently 14 Class A and 20 Class B tobacco licenses. The board would need to raise the available license by one in order to issue this license. I don't know if we have a petitioner here this evening, Chief, or are you representing?
I'm representing the village. Dottie's is just applying for it. Deputy Chief Gunther informed me he did their background for their previous liquor license was used for this tobacco license, and there's no reason that he could find to prevent them from receiving this tobacco license. And it was an oversight on Dottie's. They had originally intended to apply for the liquor license, the tobacco license at the same time they did the liquor, and they realized they hadn't, so that's why it's before you tonight.
It is true, though, that the other facilities we've had like this have not applied for tobacco.
That's my understanding, correct?
Would they have a separate area where they would be selling tobacco?
I don't know. I probably imagine at the counter, as with anything else, they cannot smoke inside there, but they could.
Right, and then they can't really smoke outside
15
because
feet.
all those doors right there, and they can't be in the street or the parking lot, so there's really no place to even smoke.
Unless they were to go out further into the parking lot, go sit in their cars, or 15 feet away from any of the other entrances.
Seems to me to be an odd request, but.
Having seen the previous history of smoking with riverboat gambling and everything like that, before the Illinois Smoke-Free Act came in, it was very popular. I don't know. It's just a request that they had.
And what, again, is the difference between A and B?
A is for restaurants, B is for others.
Okay, for bars.
And from Jim's standpoint, you didn't have any issues, or?
No, Mayor, none.
Do we ever post signs about that no smoking? I can imagine that there'll be people immediately outside the door smoking unless we enforce it. There's something that we can do to post signs there.
Right now would be a request. There's nothing in our ordinances that require signage. It's state law, and again, our ordinances mirror that.
Yeah.
We could ask them, see if they would be agreeable to post something, no smoking within 15 feet.
We can't require a sign on private property.
Yeah.
We can ask, I believe, see.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Scott.
Motion is made and seconded. Any additional questions?
Well, if there's any complaints, then tickets could be written.
That's right.
Right.
And they are subject to the enforcement checks for tobacco as well as for liquor, as well as for video gaming.
Any additional questions? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
New business E, no weapons policy for employees. Board to consider an ordinance approving a no weapons policy for the Village of Westmont Personnel Code. Manager Searle.
As most of us know, due to the recent publicity regarding conceal and carry, there's been several different types of policies that municipalities have had to look at. This particular one involves employees, and this is an ordinance that would approve a no weapons policy for the village, and it would amend Chapter 62 of the Westmont Code. And you should have in your packet a copy of the policy. This is based, I believe, on sample policies that have been developed by a number of municipalities in the area.
And Irma.
Pardon?
And Irma.
Your insurance.
And Irma. So this is being recommended as the best form of a policy at this point. Not to say that we won't at some point want to come back and amend it, but given the timing of all this, we urge the board to consider adopting this policy as soon as we can so we can get it into effect and start to educate our employees.
Again, it's been recommended both by our legal counsel and the insurance carrier. So do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Barry.
Second, Addington.
Motion been made and seconded. Any additional questions from anybody? Trustees, the public? Come on up. Please state your name.
My name is Bill Johnson. I live at 237 South Grant. Anyway, I just noticed these stickers or whatever. It looks like a little smoking sign. But anyway, the thing that made me think is, do you think a criminal with a gun will actually look at this sticker and then walk back and put his gun in the trunk? I mean, it doesn't.
Well, you're talking about the no weapons policy for the public.
Yeah, is that what you're not talking about?
No, you're a step ahead. I'll call you back up.
That's the next one.
I'll call you back up. The employees better look at the sign.
We try not to hire
Yeah,
criminals as we go
yeah.
through our background.
Yeah. So again, I think, Bill, that's where I'll get you up after the chiefs make their presentation on the next agenda item. So if there's no other questions, we have a roll call, please, on the motion.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
All right, new business F, no weapons policy, public. Board to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 58 of the Westmont Code of Ordinances to prohibit the public from bringing concealed weapons into public buildings. Manager Searle.
Again, related to the recently passed state law regarding concealed weapons, this proposed ordinance mirrors state statute restrictions and allows for violators to be prosecuted under village ordinances. And you should have a sample of this.
I think
Was it distributed, John? ahead of time?
It is. It's in the ordinance that was distributed.
And I think what we've asked is both fire chief and police chief to please come to the podium and give a presentation on this whole policy.
What I'd like to give, and it'd be very lengthy if I gave an overview of the entire legislation, but I will address to that later in my PowerPoint. what I would like to point out is that the Illinois now has a concealed carry licensing law. This law allows residents and citizens who are issued a license by the Illinois State Police to carry a concealed weapon by law. The state police is responsible for conducting the background and issuing the licenses. Local communities, ours included, do have the opportunity to have input to the state police on information we have on local residents. The Illinois State Police began mailing licenses out last Saturday, and they began being received on Monday. And that was to their approved applicants. The state police has 90 days within which to issue a license from the time they receive an application. So starting Saturday, March 1st, they're out, and if you watch some of the media reports, people are out carrying concealed weapons. This means that a concealed carry license holder can begin carrying a concealed weapon once they receive their license. They have to wait till they get it in the mail. And what I have been asked and we want to review with the board and part of the public are some of the specific prohibited places where license holders cannot carry a concealed weapon. And some of the prohibited areas in Westmont are, and I will, as I go through this list is not all-inclusive. These are just areas in the legislation that prohibit it. And one of them is buildings or real property, parking areas, and there are some exceptions, under the control of a public, private, elementary, or secondary school. Buildings under the control of an office or executive legislative branches of the government, which would be like 1 South Cass, Senator Dillard's and Representative Bellock's office. This is kind of interesting. Any bus, train, or form of transportation paid for in whole or part with public funds. Any building or real property and parking area under the control of a transportation facility paid for in whole and part with public funds. Basically, the metro buses and the train depot and the train platform. And we're going to be putting signs up there as well on the depot itself. We talked about this earlier this evening. Public gatherings or special events conducted on property open to the public that require issuance of a permit from the local government. This could be parades such as Holidays Parade, the high school homecoming day parade, any events where we would maybe give a permit or any type of public gathering permit or an event permit. It also includes businesses or events where special events where a special alcohol license was issued, such as the Taste of Westmont, Red, White, and Barbecue, the upcoming Ale Fest, all events like that. If there's a liquor license issued, a special liquor license, and it's on public property, that would become a prohibited place. We don't have any in Westmont, but I mentioned court buildings, buildings of local unit of governments, and that's basically where we are here tonight, Village Hall. Any village building, 1 South Cass, our police and fire stations, public works garage, any building or real property that the village owns. Public or private hospitals, including mental health facilities and nursing homes. A business that serves alcohol, if more than 50% of the business's gross receipts within the prior 3 months are from sale of alcohol. Buildings or property that have been issued at special events, which talked about during the time, again, Taste of Westmont, Red, White, and Barbecue, would be a prohibited area only when alcohol is sold. So if alcohol is sold between 9 and 10, someone could be in the area after that. However, most of our events, such as the Red, White, and Barbecue, Taste of Westmont, Red, White, and Barbecue is on park property. And you'll get that at public parks, athletic areas, or athletic facilities under the control of a municipality or park. Areas of private community colleges, College of DuPage. We have a facility up on Pasquinelli. Stadiums, arenas, and colleges or professional sporting events, public libraries, zoos, and museums. And as I stated before, the above list is not all-inclusive, and residents license holders should consult with the concealed carry legislation or during their training that they receive, so they're familiar with all designated prohibited areas. At this time, I'd like to have Chief Weiss come up and explain how we have worked together to come up with a practice on how we will address concealed carry licensees or persons with a concealed carry in a medical emergency.
Thanks, Chief. Fire Department's working in cooperation with the Police Department on this. As you know, our ambulance and medics are get called out to the residents in Westmont, and the way we're going to handle it, if we go to a residence and they have a concealed carry on, we will remove the concealed carry and leave it in their home. It won't come with them. We'll leave it with a family member. If they're out in an accident or something happens downtown or the roadways, something like that, we are going to do either 2 things. One, if there's a police officer there, they'll remove it and they'll transport that to the hospital with the medics, and it'll be turned over at the hospital to security. There'll be some paperwork signage at the hospital that will take care of that. Or if we don't have a police officer there and that doesn't happen, we have purchased locked boxes where our paramedics will remove the concealed carry weapon, not out of the holster, it'll be the holster and everything right into the box, lock it. When we get to the hospital, then that will be turned over to security where it gets signed paperwork and know who took the weapon, and then it'll be up to them to make sure it gets back with the patient. So we are going to work with the police department on get some training for our fire personnel, because we do have some people that have never used a weapon before. Not that we want them pulling it out and the holster or anything else, but just to feel comfortable with, if they have to remove the holster and everything, put it in the lockbox, that they don't have any fears from that. So.
And Chief and I had discussed this with Lindrali. We feel more comfortable with a police officer handling the weapon and turning it over. However, we're very cognizant of the fact that we don't want to delay medical aid. So if an officer is not on the scene yet at a call, say it's an unconscious person at Burlington and Cass, and the medics are there first, and they need to go to the hospital right away, we're not going to wait for an officer to get there. The fire department will handle it. As also with mutual aid responses as well, too. A property or business owner can designate their property or business a prohibited place by putting up signs at their entrances, designating and declaring the property to be a prohibited place. That's up for each individual business owner to decide. We cannot give them any recommendation. That's something that they have to determine how they want to do. I know the Chamber of Commerce has talked with Larry Forsberg. They're going to be having an upcoming event or a meeting where they want to get direction. I've arranged for the chief of the criminal division of the state's attorney's office to attend their meeting and kind of give them some guidance on the law and give them some decisions on what information decisions they can make. We talked about signs, and the sign prohibiting a concealed carry, and up on the screen is a depiction of it. The sign by state law must be 4 inches by 6 inches and in color. We have provided signs to local schools, to the Park District, to the library, to buildings which are prohibited places, and we have given that to them for posting. We're going to be putting them up on the train depot again as well, too. And then one other thing which I wanted to let our residents know, and this is not only the Westmont Police Department, but it's police departments throughout DuPage and pretty much through Illinois. I won't speak for all, but it's going to change our tactics. Before, anyone who had a gun before was a criminal. That is no longer true. People, law-abiding citizens, may have a concealed carry license and be legal in carrying a weapon. The legislation requires that an officer must ask if they have a concealed carry weapon or if they have a concealed carry license. The licensee is not required to disclose that. In other states they are, but in Illinois they are not. So our officers, for everyone's safety, not only our residents' safety, but for the officer's safety, are now going to ask an additional question. And it may seem to a person who does not have a license to be an odd question as to why is the officer asking this, but it's an educational campaign starting here tonight, that if an officer were to have a contact with you, whether it be on the street or whether it be a traffic stop, which is probably the most common contact, before the officers would go up and ask, may I see your driver's license, may I see your proof of insurance? The officers are now going to be asking, do you have a concealed weapon with you? Do you have a concealed weapon license? And then asking for the license and insurance and carrying on that way. And again, if you don't have a license, well, why are you asking if I have a weapon? It's for everyone's safety. You're not required to produce that weapon. We would prefer that you not touch the weapon, but it's just for the officer's information so he knows that it's there and can, officer safety-wise, be aware of that. For any additional information, we would like everyone to go to the Illinois State Police website, which is www.isp.state.il.us. And when you go to that, you will come to this website here, which is, I will have up on the screen shortly. When you come to the Illinois State Police website, on the right-hand side, you see a bunch of tabs that you can go to. The second one down is concealed carry. When you click on concealed carry, it has all information you can access. You can learn how to get a license. You can learn where to go to get fingerprinted. They have a list of frequently asked questions you can review. It's extensive. The act is there. It's 90-some odd pages. You can read that and learn exactly what you can and can't do, how you get a license, how you not get a license, signage information, and information on firearm owners' identification cards, what basically called a FOID card. So I know there's one gentleman, I will let him speak and ask his question. I'm ready for an answer, but I'll let him, so I make sure I get the question right.
Very
But
good.
any questions from the board?
Well, let me have the public, Bill, if you'd like to come back to the podium, and again, when you get to the podium, state your full name and address so we can have it in the minutes.
My name is Bill Johnson. I live at 237 South Grant. Okay. I mean, the first thing I thought of when I saw that sticker is, I'm thinking, you know, especially I walked into the bank today and I'm thinking, is a criminal with a gun going to walk up to the bank, see that sticker, is he going to walk back to his car and put his gun in his trunk? Or is this just an advertisement to a criminal with a gun that nobody inside has a gun? And it's proven throughout the country that the less gun control, the less crime. The more gun control, the more crime. I mean, that's statistically proven. You know, and then just in the case of Chicago, since the handgun ban effect, the number of murders in Chicago committed using handguns has been 40% higher than before the ban. Gun violence in the last 20 years has dropped 20%, not 20%, 49%. And you don't see these kind of statistics on the television. I don't know if anybody has ever heard this, or maybe you all know about it, I don't know. That means in 2011, 8,500 people were killed by guns, 3%, only 3% using an assault rifle. So that's 323 people were killed by rifles, period, that's it. And that's usually what you see on the TV is an assault rifle. That's what they use to get their point across. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think it's a direct assault on the Second Amendment. And I think you should take that more seriously than a lot of you might think. Because once they institute one law in one form or another, it's going to be followed by something else. You know, they're going for registration and then they're going for confiscation. I think you probably are pretty much aware of that, right? No?
Not as it pertains to this, I don't.
No, but I mean, that's the general consensus of the politicians in Washington.
I can't comment on
Yeah, okay. Now, as you know, the most publicized killings were the Aurora, Newton, and Colorado shootings. All of those shooters were on psychotropic drugs, a mind-altering drug which causes aggression and suicidal behavior. So if you give a mentally ill person a psychotropic drug and then give him an assault rifle, you can almost guarantee that something bad is going to happen. So you can...
Can I ask the question then, what about the sign?
What about the sign?
Yeah. I mean, that was your original comment is about putting the signs up. If a person has a business and he wants that sign in his window, he should have the right to be able to do that.
I don't think so. Because
But I
think it's against the Second Amendment. Everybody has the right to bear arms, and you're telling somebody that you want to compromise the Second Amendment. I don't think any of us
What you're
have-
saying is that he just doesn't, let's say it's a restaurant,
Yeah,
and there's people who may not agree with the whole concealed carry part, okay?
Yeah.
Whether they do or they don't.
yeah.
They want to go into a restaurant. If they see that, they may feel more comfortable because they don't have to worry about somebody having a gun in it. And if that person who has a business doesn't want a gun in it, then he should be able to have that.
I don't know what the law is as far as that goes. I couldn't tell you.
But I think that's what the whole point was here, was just having.
Well, and the point tonight wasn't talking about private places of business. It was talking about public buildings.
Okay.
Like
Right.
Village Hall.
I mean,
And-
you're
and-
still compromising the Second Amendment.
And just so you know, the state law, well, that's up to the state legislators. They're the ones who said you can have concealed carry, but you're not allowed to have it in public buildings.
Right.
All the village is doing tonight is echoing the existing state law to make it clear to its employees, as an employee, you can't bring a gun into Village Hall because the state law prohibits it.
Oh, I
And as the
understand
public, you can't bring it in here because the state law
Yeah, I
prohibits it,
understand it.
and it's a local ordinance violation.
Yeah.
That's all the board's doing tonight.
yeah.
It's not getting into a political discussion, whether it's
No, I
good policy or
understand
bad
that.
policy.
I understand that. Because, I mean, there's just a lot more other problems that seem to be, You know, and then when you get into the, another statistic which says that, I don't know if we want to hear all this, but
I don't know. Bill, I'm going to ask Tom. Bill,
yeah, you don't want to hear
provided me
this.
with a lot of statistics about some other things. So he does a lot of research. I know that because he's involved with our historical
I'll
society.
just
But
give you the
Tom-
one statistic. 2.5 million people use firearms to protect themselves against criminals. That's like 80 times more than the people who are killed from crime. It's just that, like I say, it's an assault on the Second Amendment.
Oh, thank you. And I know if Chief has something to...
Well, to clarify, I mentioned in my PowerPoint, one exception is that they are not allowed in the buildings, however, in a parking lot. So if someone were to be coming, Mr. Johnson would be coming from his home to the Village Hall to attend tonight's meeting, he could carry his weapon if he had a concealed license permit, and the law allows him to have it out in a parking lot, even of the accepted places or the exceptions or the prohibited places, and he has to lock it securely in the trunk of his car. So he still has the ability to transport the weapon, just not inside the building. Your question earlier was, do I think that the sign will stop a criminal from coming in? No. If someone wants to come in a building or someone's carrying a gun, short of an armed police officer or something like that, I don't think that's going to stop them. Our purpose for these signs, these are prohibited areas. By law, they don't need the signs. However, our thought is that if we put the signs up, members of the general public may be downstairs at the clerk's office paying a water bill. They see someone walk by and they happen to see the gun. They happen to see the sign saying there's no gun weapons here. More than likely, someone will say, hey, there's a sign that says no guns, that gentleman has a gun, and that would cause a response of some type. If the resident didn't see the sign, they may not know that this is a prohibited area and would not say anything. So again, it's an abundance of caution, and it also is a reminder to people, you should know this is a prohibited place. It's just a reminder, please, we don't want to get you in any trouble, or, lock your gun up in the trunk or whatever options you wish to choose.
And Chief, I think that is really the point. I agree with what you're saying. It's not going to stop somebody. If somebody's, on drugs or whatever, they're going to do what they want to do. But I think it's a reminder like no cell phones. A guy that has a license may come to the door and say, whoops, I should have locked this in my trunk. And I think that is what we're trying to accomplish with the stickers. I don't think we're going to stop anybody. I think we're well aware of that. And I also would just like to stress that Westmont's rule is no more restrictive than anywhere in the state. This is part of the state law, and by no way as an elected official do I want to infringe on the Second Amendment rights, and as an NRA member and so forth. So again, just to reassure from your standpoint.
Right, our ordinance is following state law, and our state legislatures have enacted this legislation, and we abide by it. It's a law. We all will abide by the law. As far as assault weapons, I know the village had an option of opting out or a very long time ago, and that issue is a moot point. This is not addressing anything with assault weapons. This is just, we're complying and mirroring state law legislation that our state legislators enacted.
And I think our attorney explained that pretty clearly. So, do I have a motion?
So move Seneca?
Second, Parker.
Motion's been made and second to approve as presented. Any additional questions from the trustees? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Scott?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Going on to new business G, a resolution of intent, motor fuel tax / GO bond. Board to consider approving the IDOT resolution for the village's 2014 MFT spring resurfacing project. Manager Searle.
This is a request to appropriate the sum of $1,900,000 for the 2014 motor fuel tax spring resurfacing project, MFT number 14-000-01-G4M from the municipality's allotment of motor fuel tax funds. The recommendation from staff is to approve the request to appropriate the sum of $1,900,000 for the spring resurfacing project.
Yeah. As a point of clarification, it was put on the agenda wrong. It's not an ordinance, it's just approving the resolution. So do I have a motion?
Motion Addington to approve.
Second, Scott.
Moved and seconded on the question. Anybody? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
New Business H, Engineering Services Agreement, WSI. Board to consider an ordinance to authorize an engineering services agreement with WSI Management, LLC, for Green Infrastructure Feasibility Study Pilot Program. Manager Searle.
This feasibility study proposal was by invitation of the board after a October 24th, 2013 presentation and recommendation by the Stormwater Management Committee. As part of the program, we'll look at the feasibility and project estimates for green infrastructure improvements. There will be a focus on 3 key areas of the village, roughly described as Northeast Acres, the Grant Trauby area, and the which is near the Westmont Police Department, and the Village Hall, Depot, Westmont Center corridor, including Grant, Richmond. Phase 1 investigation will be initiated in the King Arthur area to determine if this area can be included in the initial pilot program as well.
Any questions from the public? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion Addington to approve.
Second, Scott.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee, questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
New Business I, Engineering Services Agreement, AMEC. Board to consider an ordinance to authorize an engineering services agreement with AMEC Environmental and Infrastructure Incorporated for the Westmont Municipal Stormwater Utility Phase 1 study. Manager Searle.
Following recommendation from the Stormwater Management Committee, Village Board and staff requested statements of qualifications for a stormwater utility feasibility study. Staff reviewed 6 statements from qualified vendors and is recommending AMEC Environmental and Infrastructure, Inc. for this study. The scope of services, proposal fee, calendar timeline have been negotiated and attached in the proposal. And I believe there are some gentlemen here this evening if there are any questions from board members as well.
I've sat patiently all night.
Would you like to comment or anything while? All right, do I have a motion?
Motion Addington to approve.
Second, Seneca.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee, questions? Seeing anybody in the audience? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Moving on to agenda item number 10 is miscellaneous, and this evening, does anybody have any items to discuss? Would like to bring it to the board's attention? I know, we're all looking across.
Harold's over there ducking under the desk.
This is the time, if there's something on the agenda.
I'm saving it,
right.
saving it all up.
What night will that be? I don't want to be here.
All right, seeing no miscellaneous items, we'll, executive session, there being no further business, I request a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation, specifically the Village of Westmont and IMRF, personnel, potential land acquisition, and for discussing village attorney compensation. Do I have a motion?
Motion Barker.
Second, Scott.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn to executive session. Roll call, please.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Seneca.
Correct.
This-
Yes.
Yes, we will be adjourned into executive session, and we will not come back into regular session to address anything. So this part portion of the meeting is adjourned.